All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody's doing well today on this beautiful Monday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, check out the notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. And we want to make sure that we're starting our day off by taking massive action. That action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for the outcome, centering yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trusting your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. Good people, we're at the beginning of December. The beginning of December. It's we'll say the final stretch. The final stretch of the year, right? Last month where we get an opportunity uh to make that final push toward completing the goals that we set out this year with. Um Time continues to move. Time continues to move, and it won't slow down for us, right? It won't slow down for us. So we got to make sure that we are taking the steps, taking the steps, implementing the things that we're learning, and working toward the things that we say that we desire, right? Growth stops. Growth stops when you lose tension between where you are and where you could be. Growth stops when you lose tension between where you are and where you could be. Let's think about that for a minute. Just like just like a rubber band, just like a rubber band is useless unless it's stretched. Our lives only gain value when we stretch ourselves outside of our comfort zone. Today, we're going to talk about the law of the rubber band. And that simply says growth happens when you embrace the stretch, when you lean into discomfort and you challenge yourself to move beyond where you are right now. Because life begins, like life truly begins. The thrill, the excitement begins at the end of that comfort zone, right? Let's start with a simple question. That's what's the value of a rubber band? What's the value of a rubber band? Let's think about it, right? A rubber band, the rubber band only has one real purpose. And that purpose is it stretches to hold things together. Without the stretch, it's just limp and it's a useless rubber circle, right? Think about it. If it's not stretched, it won't do anything. It won't. It it doesn't serve its purpose if it's not stretched, right? The same thing is true for our lives, right? If we're not stretching, if we're not growing, if we're not challenging ourselves, if we're not pushing ourselves beyond what's comfortable or what's normal, we lose our effectiveness, right? So when was the last time you truly stretched yourself? When was the last time you truly stretched yourself? If it's been a while, you might feel, and sometimes you might get into this cycle, which we have to learn to interrupt the pattern, but you might feel stuck. You might feel like you're just going through the motions, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over without seeing any real progress, right? That feeling of stagnation, it's a sign. It's a sign. It's a reminder that we're designed to grow. It's a reminder that I need to interrupt this pattern and do something different, to challenge myself, to take action, to implement the things that I've learned to go to the next level, right? We as people were meant to evolve, to expand, to reach for something greater. That's how we're designed, right? Stagnation isn't just uncomfortable, it's unnatural. Your body is constantly moving and changing. The hair is constantly growing. The skin is constantly growing, changing, dying, renewing. Your body's constantly changing. We're designed to evolve. We're designed to change. We're designed to grow. It, what I've learned is the comfort zone is where growth goes to die. It's where growth goes to die. Right? It's the space where we do the same things the same way with the same people and we get the same results. And then we wonder why nothing changes. We wonder why we keep getting the same results. We wonder why we continue to just be in that same space that we were 4 years ago. Wonder why we keep going through the same set of situations with different people. We haven't grown. Breaking free from the comfort zone isn't easy, but it's necessary. Again, growth doesn't just happen, right? And growth doesn't happen in the safety of familiarity. It happens in the stretch. When you step outside of the comfort zone, something beautiful happens. Something beautiful happens. The first thing is you learn faster. I was watching an interview with a young lady by the name of Cody Sanchez, um, former Wall Street banker. She's turned into kind of a business guru, if you will, buying small businesses. And she talked about the conversation she had with one of her mentors, and she asked him, so her mentor is a billionaire. She said, what's the one thing that you did that helped you become the person that you are with the success that you've had? And his answer was, I move faster than everybody else. I move faster on ideas than everybody else. I take action immediately. I don't take weeks and months to plan it out. I take action on it and I fail and I learn and I fail and I learn and I fail and I learn. So by the time they got started, I've already learned 30 lessons and I've been able to move faster toward the goal than the person that sits and plans and jots and take notes and thinks and plans and thinks and plans. I go. So when you step outside your comfort zone, you move faster, right? Taking risks, it exposes you to those new challenges. Those challenges teach you the lessons that people who stay in their comfort zone may never encounter. The people that have to have all of the answers before they get started, they never encounter the lessons that you've already learned. It's like an accelerator to education, right? The second thing is you broaden your experiences by doing the things that others avoid out of fear. You see and you do things that completely change your perspective of the world, right? You gain a deeper understanding of yourself and how the world works and how people work around you, right? And the third thing that stepping outside of that comfort zone does is you encounter obstacles faster, sooner than everybody else, right? This isn't a downside, right? This is the gift. The sooner you face the challenge, the sooner you learn to overcome it. And when every obstacle you encounter, with every obstacle you encounter, you build the resilience, the knowledge, the confidence, and the problem-solving skills to overcome, and it prepares you for the next one while everybody else is still trying to plan the idea, right? Stretching isn't about being smarter, stronger, or better than everybody else. Like Cody Sanchez's mentor, he said, I'm not smarter than everybody else, right? I'm not better than everybody else. I just move faster than everybody else, right? It's about being willing to take action, being willing to do what's necessary, being willing to do what's required, being willing to learn the lessons, right? Being willing to put yourself in situations that force you to grow, even when it's uncomfortable, right? The willingness to stretch, the willingness to face challenges head on gives you an education that no classroom ever could. So my challenge for you today, I'm going to give you a couple, but challenge for you is write this down in your journal, a journal prompt, right? Reflect on where you've been staying too comfortable. What what's one area of your life where you could start to stretch? That you've stayed comfortable out of fear, out of uncertainty, out of concern for what other people might think. What's one area that you've stayed in your comfort zone, right? Again, growth doesn't happen by accident. Growth happens when you're intentional. It happens in that stretch. And so with that journal prompt, then ask yourself, are you ready to lean into the stretch? Let's keep going. Have you ever felt like there was something more waiting for you? Like there's a bigger vision, right? A bigger version of yourself just right around the corner. It feels like it's right there. That feeling isn't random, right? It's not just your imagination, it's a sign of how we're wired, right? We're designed to grow. And so if you've been putting in the work, you can feel that next level coming, right? Think about it. Even the universe itself is constantly expanding, right? Growth and expansion are built into the fabric of everything around us. You have plants that grow and die and grow and die. That's the evolution, right? We're no different. Whether it's your mind, whether it's your skills, whether it's our understanding of the world, we're always being pulled toward something greater. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. Growth doesn't just happen. It's not automatic. It requires intentional effort, and that's where the stretch comes in, right? Just like we talked about earlier with the rubber band, growth happens when we push ourselves beyond what's comfortable. When we embrace the tension between where we are today and where we're going, where we could be if we took one step, right? So the two main areas in life where stretching is essential, right? And it's our abilities and strengths and our weaknesses. Let me break this down, right? Our abilities and strengths. These are things that you're naturally good at, right? The talents and skills that come more easy to you because you've done them already for a long period of time. Stretching in this area feels challenging but exciting because it aligns with what you're already good at, right? Maybe you're a great communicator, right? Okay, you're a great teacher, right? You've if you're a great communicator, but you've never spoken in front of we'll say an audience of 20,000 people, a large audience, right? Stretching might mean taking the leap to deliver a presentation or lead a workshop of a large group, right? It's scary, but it's also exhilarating because it builds on something that you already know that you're good at, right? When you stretch your strengths, you refine them. You find the small tweaks that you need to make that presentation better, right? To take you to the next level and you unlock even more of your potential. Now, those weaknesses, people like to talk about these. People like to run away from these weaknesses, right? But these are the things that obviously don't come natural to you, right? The skills, the abilities that feel intimidating because they push you into unfamiliar territory. Your body, your nervous system isn't used to doing these things, right? But stretching in your weaknesses is where the real transformation is going to happen. It is not easy. It's not easy. And it's not always fun because it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be hard. There's going to be failure involved, but it's where you're going to grow the most, right? And I know a lot of people, they tell you to focus on your strengths and your strengths only, right? And there's value in focusing on the strengths, yes, but I also believe that if you're passionate about something outside of your comfort zone, you can learn it, right? And that's the essence of having a growth mindset, right? And in learning those things that you have some passion for that are outside of your comfort zone, what you'll then able to do is you'll be able to find the synergies between those things and the things that you're good at. And now, as you're learning these things that are uncomfortable, they still enhance those things that you're great at, right? And you find a way for those things to intertwine. I'm going to go back and I want to talk about something that we've always talked about, but I want to make sure that we continue to refresh this idea too, right? And that's the idea of a growth mindset and what it is, so that we keep this fresh in our minds as we continue to implement these laws of growth, right? A fixed mindset says the skills that I was born with are all that I will ever have. Who I am today is who I'll always be. That's just who I am, you hear people say all the time. right? A growth mindset says the skills that I was born with are just the starting point, and I can learn and develop any ability as long as I'm willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy, and the work to do so, right? So stretching in areas of weakness requires growth mindset. I can learn any skill that I desire that I'm willing to put the time, the effort, the energy into, right? It requires you to believe that you can improve, that you're not limited to where you started or what's come natural to you, right? So why should you stretch into your weaknesses, right? When it's so much harder? Why should I do this, Ryan? Because sometimes what's outside of your comfort zone exactly where you're meant to grow and what's needed on the journey to become the person that you've been designed to become. Think about that. There's a lesson over here that's required for you to get here. You got to step outside that comfort zone, right? Stretching in your strengths builds confidence. Stretching in your weaknesses builds character, builds the character that's needed, that's required to become the person you desire. Both are essential for becoming the best version of yourself, right? Let me ask you this. Where in your life do you feel the pull to stretch? Where are you being pulled outside of your comfort zone, right? Is it in the area that you're already good at, but you want to take it to the next level? Or is it a weakness, something that feels intimidating, but could open you up to new opportunities, right? What area in your life right now is pulling you that you said, I know I need to learn this, but I don't have the time. It's unfamiliar. It's going to take time. I don't have the time to do it, or I'm afraid to go through the process of learning that thing because I'm not good at it. Write that down. Growth is about stepping into both of the areas of the familiar and the unfamiliar, your strengths and your weaknesses, right? With the willingness to stretch in both. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're designed to do, right? That's what we're designed to do. I'm going to dig a little bit more into this growth mindset piece and going back over some details that we've discussed in the past. But I want you to roll with me because I want to bring all of this together with our willingness to stretch, right? Our willingness to really, really, really go, right? Because if you're going to move beyond your comfort zone and embrace challenges that come along with growth, you really have to really focus on having this growth mindset, right? And the mindset you adopt will determine how you respond to challenges and setbacks. Again, what you're focused on, what you're training that reticular activation system to see, feel, and do, right? So if you're operating from a fixed mindset, stretching in areas that aren't natural to you, right? It's going to feel pointless. Why am I doing? I don't have to do this because you think, why bother? I'm good where I am right now. right? I'll never be good in this area anyway. And you'll find reasons to not be good in that area, right? But with a growth mindset, you see those same challenges as opportunities. You say, I'm not good at this yet. Logan always reminds us the power of yet. I'm not good at this yet. But if I work at it, if I put the time, the effort, the energy, the more I do it, the better I become, right? Yet is powerful because it opens up the door to growth because it reminds you that your current abilities don't define your future potential. So when it comes to stretching in your weaknesses, adopting this growth mindset is extremely essential because you continue to train that reticular activation system to look for the opportunities to grow. And you see them as opportunities. You don't see them as setbacks. You don't see them as brick walls. This is something that I need. And so you'll seek out those things. And the more you do the things that are uncomfortable, you train your reticular activation system to identify those. And then your body, your nervous system becomes comfortable, more comfortable doing uncomfortable things. So now you're more comfortable doing uncomfortable things. Now you seek those uncomfortable things because you know that you're going to grow into them, right? Stretching in those uncomfortable areas is messy. It can be messy, right? It doesn't come with immediate results. No microwaves. No microwaves when it comes to learning these or stepping into these uncomfortable spaces, right? And at the beginning, when you're getting started, I'm telling you this because I really want us to understand and accept that as we go into uncomfortable spaces, it's going to be hard. People try to patty cake their way around this, but there's no way to do that. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to feel sometimes like you're stumbling in the dark, trying to get your footing, right? If you don't believe that you can improve, you're likely to give up when things get hard, right? But if you accept at the beginning that that next level is going to be challenging, that unfamiliar thing is going to be challenging, but I can learn it. With that growth mindset, you understand that improvement is a process. And now you're going from stumbling in the dark to getting one foot on solid ground, to then getting that second foot on solid ground. And now you can navigate your way through that dark room and get closer to level ground to then get closer to a little bit of light to then reaching the sunshine, right? You're willing to stay in that stretch because you know that every effort you make brings you closer to the goal, right? A growth mindset is critical, right? But there's an additional piece that we need to add with that, right? And to keep us going when the work gets difficult, because it will get difficult at times. You need to be clear on why you're stretching in the first place. Why do I do, why do I want to grow in this area? Right? We got to get leverage on ourselves. We got to give ourselves reasons to grow in these areas. Why am I choosing to grow in this area? We got to get leverage, right? And then what's the bigger purpose driving me to stretch beyond my comfort zone? Get more leverage to really drive yourself to move when things get difficult, right? Your why needs to be bigger than you, right? It has to be compelling enough to carry you through moments, when the process feels long, when the process feels slow, right? When and the challenges sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming. Your why can give you a sense of calm, knowing that it's supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be hard because what I'm working for is bigger than me. When your why is clear and meaningful, it acts as a compass, right? When you seem to get off course, it can bring you back, remind you of what you're working toward, and gives you the strength to push through the discomfort while you're in that stretch, right? So if you're ever caught thinking, I'm just not good at that, or I could never do that, or this challenge is just too much, I'm going to challenge you to add the word yet to the end of your statements. I'm not good at this yet. I don't have this skill yet. So that we can shift our perspective on the challenges, right? Again, that small word opens up the possibilities, tells our reticular activation system that we need to find the resources. It reminds you that who you are today doesn't have a limit on, or isn't the limit to who you're becoming tomorrow, right? So stretching in areas where you're not naturally skilled at is hard. We're clear on that now, right? It's uncomfortable. It it can feel like you're constantly bumping into roadblocks. We're clear on that, right? But again, that's exactly where the most significant growth happens, right? So when you decide to step into these areas, two things will make all the difference for you, right? A bigger why, which we just discussed, and a willingness to commit. Willingness to commit. Again, are you willing to do what's necessary? Are you willing to do what's required, regardless of the obstacles that come, right? That bigger stretch is going to take effort, time, and energy. And it's not going to be easy, but with a bigger why, that'll give you the intrinsic motivation to get moving, right? That compelling, meaningful why, right? Because I want to make a bigger impact on my community, right? Because I want to leave a legacy for my family, because I have a dream that I just can't let go of, right? Whatever your why is, it has to be bigger than you, right? If your reason for is shallow and surface level, it won't sustain you, right? When it gets tough, you're going to let that go too. It has to be something that you get emotional about when you think about it. It has to anchor you. Okay. The why is key, but the willingness to commit, right? The willingness to commit, stretching outside the comfort zone is a process, right? And it takes persistence. It's about showing up even when it's uncomfortable and trusting that the effort will pay off in the end, right? This commitment isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about choosing to put in the work day after day, even when progress is slow or you don't see any immediate progress, right? It's about trusting the process, a belief, a faith that if I continue to show up, if I continue to learn the lessons, if I continue to implement and take these steps, they'll add up over time, right? Again, it's not, growth is not a glamorous journey. It's not. A lot can come from it, but in the process, it's not glamorous. Sometimes it looks like staying up late to practice, to work, to study, asking for feedback when it's uncomfortable, right? Trying again and again and again after you've failed. But every time you show up, you're building the resilience, right? You're proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever thought you were, right? So you have to commit to the process, and you got to trust the process. You got to trust that it'll always be worth it. When you combine your bigger why and your willingness to commit, you create a foundation for real lasting growth, right? So what is your why and are you willing to commit? What is your why and are you willing to commit? So as we wrap up, let's talk about how to make this a regular part of our lives, right? Stretching is like working out. The more you do it, the stronger you get, right? And the best part is every time you stretch, you expand your capacity for growth, right? The first think about the first time you tried something new or uncomfortable, it feels awkward, right? First time you rode a bike, it was awkward. First time you looked at a chart, it was awkward. It was difficult. But as you kept at it, what once felt impossible started to become familiar, right? And that's just the power of building the habit of stretching, the habit of being uncomfortable, the habit of being comfortable being uncomfortable. The more you do it, the better you become. So how do you begin, right? Identify one area in your life where you've been holding back. One area in your life that you've been holding back. Maybe it's a skill that you wanted to learn, but you haven't made time for. Maybe it's meeting that new person in that new area, that new industry that you desire to expand to. Maybe a tough conversation that you've been avoiding, or taking steps towards that goal that feels out of reach. Whatever it is, put a name on it, right? Take a moment and name it. Write it down. Say it out loud. And then ask yourself, what's one step that I can take today to stretch in that area? Don't try to do everything at once. Growth doesn't happen in one single step, right? It happens small, consistent moments when you choose discomfort over convenience. Growth happens when you choose courage over fear. Growth happens when you choose progress over stagnation, right? The habit of stretching is all about trust, trusting that every small effort adds up over time. Faith that you can learn the skills that are required to become better. You might not see the immediate results, but every time you push yourself, you're laying the groundwork for that bigger breakthrough. Growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. Stretch isn't always comfortable. It's not supposed to be, but it's necessary. Life truly begins at the end of the comfort zone, man. Just like that rubber band, your potential is unlocked when you're willing to stretch. Your potential is unlocked when you're willing to stretch. That's Mindset Monday, good people. Floor is open. Thoughts, feedback, questions.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning,
everyone.
Ms. K.
Life begins at the end of the comfort zone. That last thing that you just said is just epitomizes everything. And lately, I've fallen off of the charting wagon a little bit. There's a bunch of things that are going on in my life that reflects everything that you're talking about, and it's all good, but much of it is uncomfortable. And so this was so timely for me, and I'm excited to go back to this and be able to write some notes. But this was so on time for me, and I just, I don't have anything in particular to share other than I know that I'm in the right space. I know I'm in the right place, and I know that the journey that I'm on is meant to help me to grow, and that there's this huge rubber band that is stretching me so far, but I know that it's for my good. So thank you so much, Ryan, for all of the work and the research and the living that you do to bring these Mindset Mondays, because they are truly making an impact. So thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. K. I greatly appreciate you. And I'm glad that it's helpful. I'm glad that it helps. I'm glad that it opens another door. I'm glad it's another unlock. So thank you for sharing. Greatly appreciate you. And keep taking steps. Keep taking steps. Keep making plays, as Coach Prime says. Appreciate your safe travels on your drive in. Anybody else got thoughts, feedback, or questions?
Blah blah.
What's the deal, Joy?
Emotion. So my reflection for last week is this is like probably about the third time that I probably seen something, understood it, and called it out. I'm really mad at myself for not taking that Bitcoin play. It's like I'm mad, but I'm not mad. I have some areas where I'm in it, so it's not like I'm completely missing it. But it was like, dang, I finally got it. I didn't act on it. I wasn't quick about nothing. Because what happened was, I haven't been taking care of myself. I was asleep. So it's like I don't feel bad because I was doing something. So when you said a rubber band, I said, but Ryan, I'm stretched so thin. I'm like that rubber, right now I'm that rubber band that's on that sales paper that's been sitting in the corner on your porch, and it started getting corroded. You pick it up, you try to throw everything away, and the rubber band just crumbled. That's how I feel right now. But I want to say about 2 years ago, I'd be crying. I find it funny because I still haven't quit. I'm not going to quit. and everything is just gonna get better.
It will.
Because one thing that stuck with me, Benny used to say it all the time. If you can get up and go to work, you can get up and get on the charts. So it was something he said to that fact. I don't remember the exact words, but so I'm helping that as a booster to my why.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's true. It's true. Right? You can always put in the time. It's just about prioritizing, right? And maybe, Joy, maybe there's room to take a look at what you're doing overall. Maybe either optimize some of those things or hand them off.
Where's Rosie Robot? They said we were supposed to be flying in cars right now.
The Jetsons is on the way, man.
I mean, because right now I am a credit mom. I feel like Elastigirl. Don't get me wrong. But seeing the big picture, knowing and understanding and having the feeling, I'm so connected with my why. Thank you for the day. It was inspiring.
Absolutely. Greatly appreciate you. Greatly appreciate you. As always, keep going, man. Keep going. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty penny farm for sure. Any other thoughts, feedback, or questions?
All right, morning everybody. I love when you talked about the podcaster when she talked about the billionaire. You mentioned about speed. I think that's an area in my life that I know I need to really activate. In terms
Most of us do.
in terms of responding quickly to things, and so that is a stretch, definitely, to be able to see where you're going. At least that's what popped up for me. I think stretching is very important to get us out of our comfort zones. And for me, I've been stretching myself a lot in a lot of areas. In this season, I'm definitely stretching myself to read more. My why has always been to be able to be financially independent on my own. I've always been supported, by my spouse, but that is my intentional goal. So,
love it.
So today was really, really good, to not hold back and to act with a little bit more speed. So, thank you.
I love it. You're welcome. And it's, like I said, that's something that all of us can do better. Right? Part of the reason I wanted to go back through this series, because I'll speak for myself. I at times get caught in this habit of, I gotta plan it out, right? I gotta see it on paper. I gotta plan all of these things instead of taking the action, taking the action, taking the action, right? And in the startup world, they talk a lot about the MVP. What's your MVP? Your minimum viable product. Not your best product, but your minimum viable product. What's the first thing that you can get to the market as fast as possible? Same thing, Cody Sanchez mentor, getting it done quickly and learning the lessons. So minimum viable product, you get something out there to the market The market tells you what they want, what they don't want, what they like, what they don't like, and you're able to make the iterations. You're able to make the change, version 1, version 2, version 3. Now you're at version 20 because you got something out there quickly. The idea didn't die in your head or die in your notebook, right? You're able to make those changes quickly. So in this growth space, and as we set these goals for ourselves, we got to take action. We got to implement immediately. You don't have to have it all planned out. You don't have to have all the answers. You got to take action. And then the action, you learn. And then you can take more action, right? Because if you're not taking action, you're not actually learning the lessons that are required to do the thing. So we all can do better at taking that action quickly, right? And most times what stops us is fear of failure, right? Fear of what other people are going to say, think about what we're doing. None of that matters because most times they're not in the arena anyway. So kudos to you, Donette, for continuing to challenge yourself to do more, to be more, to expand that independence. Kudos to you. Any other thoughts, feedback, or questions? No? You're welcome. All right, good people, listen. Listen, listen, listen. It's go time. It's go time. We have 1 month of this year to go. What will you make of it? How will you end this year? How you end this year is going to set the foundation for how you start next year. Are you going to build that momentum that might have started to tail off in this fourth quarter? You're going to build that momentum back up. So January 1, you're able to hit the ground running. It's your choice. But let today be another foundational building block. Be another foundational building block, another cornerstone in the life that you're building, the person that you're becoming. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Peace.